If Clinton got that upset discussing Lewinsky, imagine if the Today Show had asked about the women who told him no. Joining us now are Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broaddrick, author of the new book, You'd Better Put Some Ice on That, How I Survived Being Raped by Bill Clinton. It's great to see both of you. I have been thinking about both of you all day, and also Paula. Juanita, I want to start with you. Bill Clinton did approach you, did he not, in 1992 to apologize, correct?
Yeah. Yes, he did. It was in 1991. I was in Little Rock at a nursing home seminar. Someone comes to the door and says, I'm wanted in the hallway. I go out, and the man points down around the corner by the elevator. And so I go down there, and as I round the corner, there stands Bill Clinton with two of his Arkansas State Police guards. And he rushes over to me, and he starts this profuse apology and saying, I'm so sorry for what I did. I'm a changed man. I'm just not the man I used to be. And even said, I'm a family man now. And I just looked at him, Laura, and I was just flabbergasted. And I said, you go to hell. And I walked off. And I could not believe it. And then the nurses that were with me followed me out, and they came over to me and they said, what did he want? And I told them. And then I began to feel a little bad that I had said that. I kept thinking, well, maybe he really meant that. Maybe he really was apologizing.
And then what happened? You realized, fast forward that he was running for president, and you were going to perhaps be an obstacle to that?
Right. That's exactly. A week later, after he apologized, he announced he was running for president.
A week later? Oh, that's really subtle. That's really subtle. Kathleen Willey, you watched that interview today, and I mean, I've got to say, I'm always stunned. Why am I stunned? He has not learned anything about this experience, which is he's actually a smart guy. So I'm almost speechless. Your reaction?
I was speechless too. I was outraged. I could not believe the words that were coming out of his mouth, and he was so arrogant and pompous about the whole thing. He actually believes, I think he actually does believe that he didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, he just blanket apology. I've apologized to everybody in the world. Well, okay, but he hasn't apologized to the people that he hurt and the people that he destroyed, the women that he destroyed. He hasn't apologized to me. He has not apologized to Paula. He apologized to Juanita, but as we see, there was a plan to that. There was a purpose for that. And he hasn't apologized to Leslie or numerous other women who've come forward and said and told stories about it. He never will. He doesn't get it. It's just the way it is.
Well, but he seems to think that he handled it well. I mean, to watch that interview, he didn't say he would have done anything differently. I mean, look, everybody makes mistakes in their lives. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. We all do. I mean, Lord knows we all do. But you would think 20 years later you'd say, you know, I wish I could turn back the clock and, you know, show better judgment. But I mean, I do that like 50 times a day. Like, why did I do that? But it's just a little strange. Alison Camerata on CNN offered somewhat tepid critique of this performance. Let's watch.
There could have been a more practiced answer, or one that I think alluded to the notion that the rules have changed in the past 20 years. Obviously, the rules were different, and that he would have done something perhaps differently today, or that he would say something differently about it today.
He could have had a more practiced answer, Juanita. I mean, yeah.
Oh, my God.
He could have also not portrayed himself as a victim. How does he become the victim in all of this?
Go ahead, Juanita. I know. I saw this decrepit, angry old man who was trying to play the victim card. The same man who 40 years ago raped me. Yeah, it was disgusting.
Well, Kathleen, it would have been really amazing. I mean, I'm shocked that Melvin asked these questions, but it would have been really amazing if he asked about Juanita, you and the others, but he focused on Monica Lewinsky because I guess that was the impeachment. But, I mean, even Joe Lockhart, let's just play this quickly. I want Kathleen to react to this. Joe Lockhart, former White House press secretary, said this today. Let's watch.
It highlights the vast difference between what it was like 20 years ago and today. I think in that interview, he succumbed to being the victim and feeling victimized.
Victimized, Kathleen. If he apologized to
the
you
victim.
today,
He's, he left the White House $16 million in debt. Well, let me tell you about what being in debt is like, and not being able to get a meaningful job after being through all of that. And he hired all these women to work in his office, and he has a sexual harassment policy in Arkansas. Yeah, well, he probably had a lot of women around so he could, assault them. And, there's no sexual harassment policy in Arkansas. There never was one. There never was one.
Kathleen, Kathleen, if he had called you today and said, look, I know I came off bad on that interview, but I'm really sorry for causing you pain. I'm sorry for what I did. Would you accept his apology?
No, I tell him the same thing that Juanita told him.
Which would
I
be?
tell him to go to hell.
Juanita, same question. If he called you today, I mean, look, everybody can be redeemed, right? We're supposed to believe in redemption, all of us. I mean, if most of us do. I mean,
I don't believe, I don't believe there's any redemption in regard to Bill and Hillary Clinton. I do not believe that. And I would probably tell him the same thing again today.
All right. Thank you both for being here.
I suffer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here tonight and sharing your
perspective.
perspective.
To be here.
So Judge Andrew Napolitano joins us now, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Judge, what do you think?
I think that the letter was a disgrace and harmful.
The January memo.
The January memo. I don't know how it got out. I don't know why the White House would have leaked it, as has been suggested, because it shows really a sophomoric view of the law. They cited the wrong statute, and they interpreted the wrong opinion. They interpreted an appeals court opinion rather than the Supreme Court. They're basically saying two things. The president can't commit obstruction of justice because he can order anybody prosecuted, he can stop any prosecution, he can fire anybody he wants. He can, but if he does so for a corrupt purpose, that would be the definition of obstruction of justice. They forgot that part. Second argument they make is that he can interfere with an FBI investigation. That's not obstruction of justice. They forgot that the statute they cited was amended in 2002, 16 years ago, to say that the interference with an FBI investigation intended to produce evidence is obstruction.
The lawyers for the President of the United States. I mean, you would think that he would have a really good legal team. He doesn't have this legal team anymore, but now he has Rudy Giuliani and Jay Sekulow.
It is difficult for me to criticize them because I know them all personally and have interacted with many of them, Jay here and the others in other environments. But they are not serving him well when they needlessly show their cards, when they make arguments like he can impeach himself. Why even raise that issue? And Rudy Giuliani, who was
he could pardon himself.
Correct. A brilliant prosecutor, suggesting that the president could have ordered James Comey to be shot in the Oval Office and that he could not be prosecuted for that. That is absurd and is a violation of the law. He could be arrested, charged, indicted, released, tried after he leaves the White House, but no way would any law enforcement agency allow a murder or an attempted murder to go uncharged because the person behind it was the president.
What's your recommendation?
What's your
recommendation? I mean, should he fire Rudy Giuliani for that?
I don't know, because they have a relationship with which I'm unfamiliar. Perhaps the president wants Rudy causing this chaos, but he is causing chaos, and he's causing people like you and me and our colleagues here and elsewhere to be talking about these absurd, off-the-wall things like, can the president pardon himself? Why would the president want anybody discussing that?
It's the 500th day of the presidency, and the president tweeted one tweet about that, talking about, how well he feels that he's got so much accomplished. But he did, probably 9 or 10 over the weekend about all of this.
The president has much of which to be proud on his 500th day in office. But whether or not he should pardon himself is not among them. And most respectfully, if Bob Mueller's office is unconstitutional, why did you sanction the Russians that he indicted? And why are your lawyers interacting with an unconstitutional entity?